Pushy Broad from the Bronx, New York. Follow her voice, a straight talk is nice. She's a pushy broad from the Bronx, oh yeah. Don't be surprised if you wanna listen twice. Make decisions, find the right choice. Know yourself better, find your own voice. It's okay if you need help today, cause everybody needs a little push. From the pushy broad from the Bronx, New York.
Welcome, Transformation Talk Network listeners. My name is Ellen Stewart, and I am the Pushy Broad from the Bronx. Welcome to my show, Recovery Recharged, where we share advice and support from experts in addiction and recovery. Today's show is Straight Talk with the Pushy Broad. I am going to tell it like it is for an extremely important topic, and that is how to answer questions teenagers ask about drugs and alcohol. Anybody with a teenager out there, any teenager that's listening on the way to school, any parent, grandparent, aunt, uncle that is faced with the question, what do you know about alcohol and drugs? Here are the answers today in a very age-appropriate way, backed by science and the kinds of things that people answer in treatment recovery. I have talked to therapists, I have talked to doctors, I have talked to recovery coaches like myself. Here are the common questions teenagers ask about drugs and alcohol and their answers. And I hope to be thoughtful, honest, and give you age-appropriate answers this morning. So if you have a question and you want to ask me on air, we are live. You call 800-930-2819. The producers will take your question and hand it to me anonymously. You don't have to tell us who you are or what is going on with you. Just ask your question and we'll make sure to answer it live on the air for the next 25 minutes. So my producer, Jessica, is going to tell me what questions have already been brought to the table. So let's get started. Jessica, what's the first question?
Did you ever try drugs or alcohol when you were younger?
This is so common, okay? Especially if you're in the boomer generation or the Gen X generation. The answer is probably yes. You did experiment when you were younger. The first thing that you need to understand is honesty here. You have to, if you have experimented or you did drugs when you were their age or even a little bit older, is to be perfectly honest. Here's a couple of reasons why. First of all, kids really respect honesty. If you want them to be honest with you, you have to be honest with them. They also have to understand that when you talk to them, you know what you're talking about. One of the reasons why recovery coaches do get clients that understand them in recovery is because many, many, many recovery coaches were former addicts and alcoholics that are now in recovery. So they understand the addictive brain. They understand what it's like to walk away from a mood-altering substance. So if you have experienced it, your child may respect you more for it. So, did you ever try drugs or drink when you were younger? I would answer it, yes. I did experiment when I was younger. But back then, I really didn't understand the risks or how it could affect my body and my judgment. It really wasn't attacked with the science and understanding that we know today. But what I did learn from experimenting was that it didn't do anything good to my life. And in some ways, it actually made things harder. So I'm telling you, Mom and Dad, don't hide it, but tell them that they can tell you anything and that you knew that you could make better choices without it. Next question, Jessica.
Why do people even use drugs or drink alcohol?
That's a really good question. Here's how I would answer my teenager. People often use drugs or alcohol to fit in, to relax, to feel that they can talk to people and not feel so stressed about it. Today, socialized anxiety is one of the biggest things that young children go through. Excuse me. They are at a party or they're talking to friends and they're not sure what to say or what to do. And when you have a mood altering substance, sometimes it makes you a little less inhibited or makes you feel more confident. But the truth of the matter is, those effects don't last. And they usually create more problems down the road. And there are healthier, more lasting ways to handle stress and enjoy yourself. And I'd be happy to talk about those with you in detail as time goes on. But understand that drugs and alcohol to escape stress or relax are very short term fixes that don't last and are only an escape from really getting to know and appreciate yourself. Next question.
What's so bad about drinking if everyone does it?
It can seem like everyone is doing it, but a lot of teens actually don't drink. Drinking when you're young can really hurt brain development, and that is something that we have found out in today's science. It actually can hurt your brain development. It also increases risky behavior because you lose your inhibitions and you may do things that you wouldn't normally do if you weren't high. It also will make it harder for you to make good decisions. Plus, it's illegal before the age of 21. So it certainly can create some serious consequences. That's how I would answer my teenager. Jessica, next question.
Isn't weed safer than alcohol?
That's a tricky question. I would answer my child. Some people say that marijuana is a little safer than alcohol, but the new evidence is showing that marijuana still affects your brain, especially the parts that control memory, learning, and motivation. Those are pretty serious things. It also can make your anxiety worse and slow down your reaction times. And even though maybe we can get an argument for the fact that alcohol may be more dangerous or weed may be safer than alcohol, safer does not mean safe. I want you to understand that. All of the evidence is pointing to the fact that marijuana does directly affect your brain. Next question.
What if I just try it once?
How many times have you seen news programs where somebody did something once and it was the last time they ever did it? Right? Trying something really difficult, something that may be laced with something now. And teenagers understand that you don't know how your body is going to react, especially with substances being mixed or laced with something these days. And I'm not only talking about alcohol or marijuana, but the mushrooms that are readily available, the heroin that is also readily available, the fentanyl that everybody has seen, that is a dangerous, dangerous situation. Sometimes it's only one time, and that will be your last time. Many addictions and accidents start with, it's just going to be this one time. And then maybe it's not. So it's better to stay in control from the start, because trying it once can still be very, very risky. Next question.
What if my friends are drinking and using drugs? Should I just leave?
That's a tough spot depending upon where you are. But if I have a choice and you have a choice, yes, it's best to leave if you can. It's always, always available for you to call me or text me. No judgment, no punishment. I'll come and get you. Right? No judgment, no punishment. You can always pick up the phone, no matter how late it is, and say, come get me. You can always use me as an excuse. As a parent, you can say, always use mom and dad as an excuse. My dad will kill me if I stay, or my mom will really be upset with me if I stay. It's always better to stay safe. I don't want you to be in a tough spot. I want you to take a look and see what's going on. I want you to know that you always have a way out by calling me, texting me, and no matter what, it will be okay. And any of your friends that wants to go with you, I will make sure they also get safely home. So we're talking about how to answer a teenager if they're talking about alcohol or drugs or any mood altering substances. This is the Pushy Broad. Go to pushybroadfromthebronx.com. I do parent coaching all the time for so many different things. If you want to ask a question this morning, I'm at 800-930-2819. We're standing by to answer your questions objectively and anonymously. So, next question, Jessica.
Why are you so strict about this stuff?
If I knew then what I know now, I would be stricter with myself. The fact that I started using at a very young age, the fact that the Pushy Broad has 40 years clean and sober this past September, knowing that if I knew then what I know now, I would always try to keep everyone around me safe. I am strict about this because I love you and I want you safe. And I know how easy it is for something to go wrong. I also know how something can go from an accident to addiction. My rules come from care, not control. I want you to really memorize that. My rules come from care, not control. Next question.
If you did it, why can't I?
I hear this all the time, but you did it. You did it. Why can't I do it? I would start off by saying, you know what? That's a fair question. When I was your age, we didn't know how much drugs and alcohol could affect developing brains. It was only over time and through science and through the results of seeing people get really hurt and understanding what an addictive brain is all about. And sometimes we feel that in other ways. Sometimes children can't relate to the fact that it's drugs or alcohol, but maybe they're obsessed with something else. Maybe you have a child that wants to eat cake, candy, and ice cream all the time and wants to have more and more and more. Or maybe you have a child that is allergic to something, like has a peanut allergy or a bee allergy. You can turn around and talk to them about that. You know how it is because you can't do this because you feel bad around it. That's exactly what happens with drugs and alcohol. This is exactly what happens when you want something and it's still not good for you. I also learned from my mistakes. I want you to have a better start than I did. I have even gone so far as to tell parents, you can talk to them about their friends as well. You can have them sit in a room. You can really do a group with quite a few different teenagers and have them talk openly and honestly about their experiences. Kids really do look at other kids to decide whether or not they want to do something. So it's your job to strengthen your child and have them be a leader and not a follower. And one of those ways is to actually go to the American Society of Addiction Medicine website and take a look at some of the science behind it. Go to some of the major hospital websites like Harvard or Johns Hopkins or the Mayo Clinic or all of these other places that talk about it, addiction as a disease, and talk to your child about the science behind what's here and explain to them that you never had this kind of research before. And if you did, you would not have done what you did. Next question.
What's the big deal about vaping? It's not even smoking.
I see so many people, so many young kids, and even older kids with cartridges, right? Carts. Vaping still puts addictive nicotine or harmful chemicals into your body. On top of that, the vape itself contains toxic substances and drugs that people don't even realize they're inhaling. It's not harmless, and it is designed to get you hooked. There are so many new things, so much research about the vape cartridge itself and about vaping in general that makes it really dangerous. I cannot tell you how many parents have come to me with young boys who have said my child was vaping and they suffered lung disease and lung damage because of the cartridge itself. There have been documented cases. Also, vaping is very new on the scene in comparison. All of the studies, all of the clinical studies about the harms of vaping haven't even begun to be discovered yet. There's still years and years and years of research away from discovering how bad this is, how many carcinogens are available in the vape cartridge itself, and how many cancerous substances may be lurking around the corner when it comes to vape. Read more about it. Share it with your teenagers. Have them understand that the cartridge itself, the apparatus, is dangerous. If you have questions, please call me this morning, 800-930-2819. We're talking about how to talk to your kids about drugs and alcohol. Jessica, next question.
What if I already tried something?
Thank you for telling me. And I'm glad you can talk to me about it. I'm not angry. I just want to understand what happened and how you felt. Tell me what you did and what you may do differently next time. And you'll never be in trouble for being honest. Never. I want you to feel that you can tell me anything. The idea here is knowing a little bit about that each situation so that maybe you can talk to me before you decide to experiment next time, because there are answers and resources and education that we can research together so that you understand what the consequences are for whatever you're going to do next when it comes to if you decide to do mood-altering substances. So let's find out the facts first so you can make informed decisions. Next question.
How do I say no without looking lame?
I know. I hear you. As much as there is peer pressure, many times there is, I want you to understand a couple of things. The person that is forcing you, or the person that is saying, oh, come on, man, what's the big deal? And it's really cool. And, you know, why aren't you doing this? And you're so lame. That person probably has a problem with mood-altering substances. I need you to understand, because most teenagers that maybe don't have a problem and want to do something socially or whatever, or won't pressure you into something. The person that's pressuring you, that's the person that has a problem. All Or maybe that's the person who's dealing and they're doing it for money. I don't know, but I'm telling you, wherever you're getting your pressure from, those are the people that have the problem. So I need you to look at them a little bit more critically and say, it's not my problem, it's yours. Or you can turn around and say something like, nah, I'm good. Or it's just not my thing. Or you can move away from it. Or you can turn around and change the subject. Walk away, talk about something else. You would be surprised how many people will respect you for standing your ground. And you may be setting an example for someone else. Maybe your friend next to you really wants to say it, but they don't want to be the only one. And when you stand up for who you are and what you want, then you give others the courage to do the same. So say something simple like, nah, I'm good. It's just not my thing. And then change the subject. All right? Make that a regular part of your conversation. Jessica, next question.
Why do some people get addicted and others don't?
It's a lot of different reasons. And this is also science, right? Partly it's genetic. Partly, which means if you have a family history of people drinking in your family or doing lots of mood altering substances, then the addictive brain, the genetics kicks in, and you are partially prone to something like that. And that's something that kids really need to know. You have to be honest. There is a family history of alcoholism, or there is something that I want you to look at because I want you to understand that we want to be able to put that part of you into remission. The other part of it is its environment. Who are you hanging out with? Who are your friends? That's why it's extremely important to know who your kids are hanging out with, what they're doing, where they're going. And I want you to understand that it really transcends all environments. I have clients that come from the wealthiest homes, and I have clients that come from the poorest homes. It doesn't matter. It matters who your children are choosing as friends. So I need you to explain to them that their choice in friendships is really significant and what it's like to be a leader as opposed to a follower. The other thing is brain development. Even teenagers understand that brains do develop in ways that are now beginning to be learned and read about in science books. They can take a look and see that the brain does go through development. You can tell them that some brains are more sensitive to addiction than others, and that is the truth. The problem is no one knows how it'll affect them until it's too late. So avoiding it or being abstinent is always the safest choice. Jessica, next question.
What should I do if someone passes out or overdoses?
Very good question. Here we are. This Halloween is coming up. The holidays are coming up. Kids are going out there. They're partying. They're doing all kinds of things. The answer is 911 right away. If you're in another country, whatever 911 is or whatever the emergency ambulance number is, you be the one to call. Don't worry about getting into trouble. There are laws to protect people who help in emergencies. Stay with that person, put them on their side. Don't make them throw up or walk it off. Just turn them over on their side. Call 911. Stay with that person. Then call your folks and make sure that person is doing the best they can. Okay? You're not responsible for them, but you are responsible for walking away from a potentially dangerous situation if somebody needs help. So explain that to your kids, show them. There are a couple of YouTube videos about that so they know exactly what to do, just like you would tell them exactly what to do if, God forbid, there was a fire in the house. Same kind of drill is a good thing to do. All right? One more question. Jessica.
Can't I just drink at home so it's safer?
I get what you think. And over the course of COVID, a lot of people were drinking at home. which is why alcohol sales went up 500%. It's not okay, and it's still illegal. Even at home, alcohol affects your judgment. It sets up habits that follow you into adulthood. I'd rather we talk about what's making you drink instead. Teenagers have to understand that mood-altering substances keep them away from real life. It is your job as parents to show them that real life has a joy attached to it that is unmatched. This is Ellen Stewart, the Pushy Broad from the Bronx, saying thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time. This is Ellen Stewart, the Pushy Broad from the Bronx, saying thanks for listening, and remember, everybody needs a little push.
From the Pushy Broad from the Bronx, New York.